Welcome back to the Third World Podcast. I'm Caleb.
I'm Shaps.
Before we start this episode, I would like to shout out our sponsor for letting us use their space to do the podcast studio. Shout out, this episode is brought to you by HDP Construction, your local experts in home remodel and interior design. Based in Bedford, Texas, and proudly serving the DFW Metroplex, they're a family-owned and operated company committed to transforming your space, whether it's a kitchen renovation, makeover, bathroom upgrade, or a commercial remodel, they've got you covered. Give them a call today at 817-829-7997 to get started, or visit at constructionhdp.com. All right, thank you again, HDP Construction, for letting us use your studio, and I hope you guys check them out, check their website out at constructionhdp.com. Really good, easy-to-use site, easy to contact them, easy to get going with them. All right, Shaps. Today we have on the agenda, I want to do a full video on this topic, but it's unfortunate that I found that I could not find all my GameInformers. They're somewhere in the garage hiding from me. I've checked every box, and I have tons and tons and tons of them just hiding somewhere.
I think, yeah.
Do it?
We all do.
Yeah, okay, so do you have a bunch left in your somewhere?
Yeah, at my mom's house, I think.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
It's very important that physical media is appreciated more, okay? Because recently, this past week, GameInformer has announced that they're dead.
Yep.
Like GameStop, they're owned by GameStop since 2000, and GameStop decided to pull the plug on them. To everyone's disappointment, because the way they handled it. So a bunch of employees apparently were tweeting using the GameInformer X, and they posted it, and then GameStop just decided to cancel their Twitter altogether. So then everybody started having to take to their own personal accounts to like, hey, I worked at now we have to take them at their word. Hey, I worked at GameInformer. This is Matt from GameInformer, and we got canceled, and it's with a heavy heart, blah, 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 blah.
And a few of them even claimed that, we had no idea that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, out of nowhere.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so, I mean, what's up with GameStop? Like, I know they're going under. They're trying to cut costs, and they're trying to restructure, and they're trying to do a bunch of stuff like, to save money. But
what's really weird is that towards the beginning of this year, or maybe halfway through, they made a big announcement. Hey, we're gonna bring GameInformer magazines back.
Yeah.
And that got a lot of people back. Like, holy crap, like this it's gonna be like the old days, and they only got like 3 issues out.
Yeah, 3, and they're behind, aren't they? Because so they canceled like the beginning of this. Well, maybe it was last month, like July. But they just basically announced on their website, hey, we're canceled, and then they just deleted the whole site. And I saw a Facebook post by them talking about Dragon Age, the Veilguard, which we talked about on the show already. And then they just deleted everything. And I'm like, shoot, that sucks. It's sad. You remember the old days of what was the earliest issue that you remember getting?
There's only 2 that I remember like burned into my brain. Like my retinas.
Yeah.
That was the first Assassin's Creed and then first BioShock. And BioShock was like beta, like way before they actually had the official designs and everything ready. So like it was just, the Big Daddy was just a guy in a diver suit.
I would say that, so the OG BioShock.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I have BioShock Infinite cover somewhere. So they're known for their covers. They use covers that aren't going to basically exist in the actual game, so that like this cover isn't going to be on the cover of the game.
Yeah, no promotional that we know of, no promotional art or anything. It was exclusive to GameInformer.
Yeah, so I don't even know what this the making of Hades 2. These are the only 2 I have. These are their most recent ones. So this is issue 366, and I believe Dragon Age 367. Yes, correct. So yeah, I mean these are just like you said, exclusive arts. The 2 covers that stand out to me the most are Fall of Cybertron, the Transformers game, and The Last of Us. I used to...
Oh, I remember that one, too.
Yeah, and I actually think...
Way before the game came out.
And I have more that I believe are before that, but I just... Because there's a Saints Row the Third. I have that one. Let's see. Gears of War 3, I believe. I have, like I said, I have a bunch of those. Gears of War Judgment, the prequel, I believe. I have all those. And I used to read them cover to cover.
Right.
Do you remember when they tried to switch to digital?
No, I think we canceled that point.
Yeah, so they switched to digital, and I kind of wish that I kept the physical version, because I ended up switching to digital because I thought it was cooler, and I just thought, I have it all on my iPad, and we're good to go, right? But I'm wishing I kept those, because I can't. I'm a little bit of a hoarder in the fact that I can't throw stuff away. So I know I have the old Game Informers, and I wanted to do a video after we were done with this, like showing them off, like, oh man, goodbye Game Informer, and then do like a nice thumbnail of me just like put fake tears on and big eyes and like, saying goodbye to these people. But it's like, it's so freaking sad. They used to have, at the end of every year, they used to have, top 10 games of the year, top 10 worst games of the year. One of my favorites was top 10 dorks of the year, like the worst characters of the year.
Yeah.
And then the best characters. And they just had like all these different categories at the end of the year. Those were the most fun to collect. A standout for me was when they added like Star Killer from Force Unleashed 2 to like one of the top 10 dorks.
Right.
Because that game sucked. And it was like, it just, I don't know. And it's like, it was such a big part of my childhood and a big part of my growing up. So yeah, it was apparently they've been around since like '94, which is a year before I was born.
Wow.
But I think they were either independently owned or they were owned by a smaller company.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it wasn't even like I don't know. They've always been there, and they've always like just been they've been trucking along for over 30 years essentially, and for GameStop to just pull the plug. Like you couldn't go to a GameStop without having the latest issue on the countertop ready for you. So like when you're buying your games, you would, if you didn't have a subscription, you'd pull this off the front and be like, here, put this on there. I want it. And you take it home, and I would read them cover to cover.
Right.
And it's just such a big part of, at least for me. I don't know how they were. I guess they weren't doing too great nowadays. But they were such a big part of me growing up. There were times where I'd come home from school, or at least my mom would pick me up from school, and I'd open the door, and she'd put the newest issue on the passenger side ready for him. I was like, oh, shoot, there it is. And I'm just looking at it, and I'm reading them, and I don't know. They've never changed in a good way. They've never changed from the format where it's like, here's the interviews, here's the artwork, here's what we're doing. And they talk to game insiders and be like, okay, well, here's what we're doing. Like this game, Tales of the Shire coming out, An Unexpected Journey into Hobbiton. It's like, it's just the same previews. It's so, but it was such a good format that worked, and now they're gone.
I mean, like I was reading these before I really knew competently how to read, it's like, I actually do remember another one. My mom surprised me with it. It was like right around the time we moved to Texas, maybe like a year or so after that.
Yeah.
I loved like the Lego Star Wars game, like the original. And then like they put on GameInformer that the second one was coming out, and she surprised me in the car on the way back from school. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest freaking thing. And I just like glued to it,
Yeah.
And the cool thing about him is that the art was always so consistent, like always consistently good, but like a lot of like somewhat muted, sort of like adult colors. I don't know. It always felt like it was just like a little bit more real, tangible,
Excuse me. Yeah. Were there times when you got the Game Informer in the mail and you were disappointed by the cover? You're like, oh, this is going to be a crappy issue. The rest of
I don't know. I probably just forgot them. Like, very few of them were forgettable. So I can't remember any that were like, just like, don't want to look at that.
If I was still writing BioWare's Meat, I would be all excited about the Veilguard, right?
Sure.
But as you know, that trailer was very disappointing, and BioWare hasn't produced a good game in about 10 years. 11 years. So, but this would be one I'd be like, yes, like let's read. I want to read this right now, and I'm going to read this cover. I actually will now because I'm curious to know what they're going to talk about,
right? Because
of how just bad the game looks. I really want to see what they say. And then this one, The Making of Hades 2. This is a cover I would be disappointed with because I've never heard of Hades 2. There's a first one apparently, but secondly, it's like it's a game I'm not going to play. So the cover, if I was a kid, the cover I'd be like, darn.
Maybe. Have you actually not heard of Hades?
No.
Oh, it's a super popular indie game.
Is it good?
Oh yeah, people are like, people went crazy over it, and they've been like going crazy over the second one, or like waiting for the second one to come out.
What's the first one like? Gameplay wise,
imagine like, I don't know, what's the best way to describe it? Dark Souls meets Diablo. So if you ever play Diablo, it's like the top-down dungeon crawl. So it's a roguelike, except it has like the difficulty of like a Souls-like.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so apparently Hades is really good.
Oh yeah, it blew up. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I told Shaps that I was thinking about making small editorial videos about every issue of Game Informer. Firstly, the ones I have at least, I have to find them. Okay, I have to find where I'm at. 'Cause I got a ton.
Yeah.
There was
Maybe
a
just
point.
borrow mine. I probably have them somewhere.
Right. There was a point in college where I would take the whole collection and set them up nicely in the bathroom. So if I ever sell them on eBay, that's going to be a disclaimer in there. Like, hey, these were read in the bathroom at some point when I was a kid. But
that wasn't brown before.
Yeah, but the kids are, I mean, the germs are very declined since then.
Yeah, I'm not touching that.
So, but yeah, I don't know. So now there's more pressure than ever to just go through and just kind of be nostalgic about like, hey, these were the highlights that I looked at when I was a kid. I think my favorites were the let's see if they still do it.
What?
This would be really cool. So whenever they do their reviews at the end, they give their number score, and they would put like what 1 through 10 what do each of these ranks mean. I don't think I see it anymore. Oh, I think they got rid of it. Okay. So they would go 1 through 10. So 10, masterpiece, like amazing. 9, great or spectacular. And then 8, great. 7, good, but not great. And then, so on and so forth. 5, meh. 4, bad. 3, really bad. 2, unplayable. And then every month they would change what 1 would be. And it would say malware. 1 out of 10 means malware, or it would be a joke, and they would change it every month what 1 out of 10 means for the month. And it's how I found hidden gems. There was the first 1 out of 10 I saw from GameInformer was this Kinect game called Hulk Hogan's WrestleMania Smash Adventure, and it was a terrible Kinect game where Hulk Hogan won't shut up. So they recorded like 20 lines for Hulk Hogan, and he says like 2 of them every match. Where like you're wrestling and you're playing if you all remember, the Kinect was so frustrating.
Right.
So you're sitting here trying to wrestle with Hulk Hogan's Kinect Mania or whatever. I forget what it's called. And then Hulk Hogan would just say the same 3 lines: "Don't pin me, bro. Don't pin me, bro."
It wasn't me.
Yeah. So, hey, brother, just the same 3 lines over and over. And and he looked terrible. He looked like a they remodeled a Jimmy Dean sausage
I'm
link.
confused. Did you never own this game?
No.
What does that look? How do you connect air? Like imagine it's a wrestling game, right?
Right.
So this is not like it has the Wii where it has like vibrations, to give like input or feedback. This is like you just grabbing at air, and suddenly you're pinning Hulk Hogan.
At the time. Oh, see, that's the thing too. I don't even think Hulk Hogan was a playable villain or playable character. He was just like on the sideline shouting commentary.
That's funny.
But his commentary was like 3 or 4 pre-recorded lines.
That's even worse.
And that's why it was a 1 out of 10, because the Kinect when it came out, it didn't work. Like it just every game sucked for it, except for the joke games like Kinect Star Wars. Where
it's not a joke game though.
Yeah, no, that at the time they thought it was very serious. But well, I don't know. Have you seen Kinect Star Wars?
I mean, are you talking about like the dancing segments?
Yes.
Other than that, there's not really anything else.
Right.
But yeah,
it was a pretty serious game. Like, so yeah, with the idea with the Kinect, keep in mind it didn't work, but it was just supposed to sense your body.
Right.
It was supposed to like, okay, he moved his arm this way, he did this, he did that. It didn't work. Like it was bad, except for games like Kinect Star Wars where you're dancing. It was a dance accessory for dance games, is the way I think Angry Joe put it. And he was right. Like for dance games like Dance Revolution or whatever, Shake It Up.
It's one use.
Yeah, and that's it. And it worked fine with those. But like whenever you tried to use it for real stuff, it didn't work.
It also had that weird like always on mechanic where it would always it would have to stay on all the time, so it just like watches your room.
And of course, like some of the families I hung out with at church were like, well, the government's watching you through the Kinect. I was like, through the Kinect, really? Like, you really think they're hacking into micro? Maybe they were, right? But they're going to be really disappointed with what they saw me doing. Especially if I started connecting college, I'd be like, I hope you hack into this.
I'm gonna be dancing with Darth Vader.
Yeah, for real. So
that's unfortunate.
Anyway, that was my tangent on the Kinect. Didn't work. Do you remember when the Xbox One came out? They tried to sell you the Kinect 2 with the Xbox One, and
I've never bought an Xbox, so I wouldn't know.
That's fair. 360, the Kinect was an accessory. I actually got a Kinect for my birthday because I wanted to play Star Wars Kinect.
That's so sad.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to do the dance-off stuff because they remixed some Dead Mouse songs and stuff like that.
I have a thought on that later about Star Wars Kinect, but continue your story.
Well, anyway, so originally with the Xbox One, it was an extra $100 or $200 to buy the Kinect with it. Eventually, they decided, okay, sales are low because nobody wants to Kinect. So they took the Kinect out, and the Xbox One was way cheaper. So on the bullet points for the Kinect 2, it said better movement registration. That was literally one of their selling points. It works better than the first one. And there was like 3 or 4 games. I mean, I know there were more, but like there were like 3 or 4 games that it launched with that. Again, like it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the price. There weren't any games to play. The only feature that worked with the Kinect, I know I'm on a tangent, guys. We're talking about GameInformer still, but the only thing that worked with the Kinect was a voice command. So Mass Effect 3, what they did was they implemented voice recognition into the game, so you could tell your squad mates, "Hey, so and so use this power up," and all you had to say. So like my favorite squad mate was Garrus or Liara. Liara.
Oh, yeah, you simp.
I know. Yeah. No, I
could have stopped at Garrett, but no.
Look.
None of the Krogans. No. Freaking.
Dude, the third game didn't have any Krogan playable characters. Okay. Don't get me started on another tangent. I'm talking about Mass Effect 3 and its many shortcomings.
We've talked about the best romance options for that game. I'm so disappointed in you.
Okay, not another tangent. I'm about to dive down that rabbit hole. Okay,
I've been saying we need to play this trilogy on the show.
I'm just so down, bro, because I got the remastered edition for free.
Oh, cool.
You know what I mean? So I would love to. Does it cost a lot extra to record video game footage, or is it now on just your computer? Is it installed in every PC?
It doesn't cost anything.
It doesn't?
No.
It's just free software or something?
I use OBS.
Okay. I didn't know OBS could do that. So coming soon, the Mass Effect trilogy. Anyway.
That would be fun.
So was I saying? So Mass Effect 3, they implemented Voice Connect. Yeah. So that actually worked. So you could say, "Hey, quick save," and it would save.
Okay.
And you could say, "Liara, singularity," and she would use singularity on whatever character. What are you laughing at?
I'm just saying. You know what else Mass Effect's famous for? Why couldn't they take advantage of the voice commands there?
What do you mean?
You know those
the dialogue wheels?
No.
Because you could do that too.
I'm talking about the fun scenes. Really hear me out there.
The romance scenes.
Yeah. It's like
no.
I can't say what
my parents would have banned Mass Effect.
Can you imagine? But no, here's the thing. Crazier things have happened. I'm surprised they didn't do something stupid like that. Like fully interacted, sex scenes. And it's just like
they they thought about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They thought because at the time they tried to over immerse people.
Yeah.
Okay. So
that was the whole big thing. That was one of the biggest selling points about 3 specifically. I remember 2 had it, but like 3 had it bad.
Yeah.
Where it's like, all the headlines are saying how like full frontal, basically like how intimate and like how realistic these scenes are. When in reality, so tame. Yeah. So like PG-13 tame, comparatively.
Actually, now that you bring that up, Witcher 3 was actually way more of what BioWare was advertising.
Right, exactly.
And so Andromeda actually tried to copy that because the romance scenes in that one were way worse, like way more. But you could tell they were trying to push the limits in the way that Witcher 3 did, or even Witcher 2. Even Witcher 2 had a bunch of.
Yeah, I'm just saying, dude.
It was rated M.
As a kid, you're like, oh boy, and now as an adult, I'm just like, this is all awkward. I wish I could skip all of this.
Right? Yeah. No kidding.
So weird.
I saw a meme, and it was pretty funny. Say we're not even talking about GameInformer anymore, but we'll get back to it. I saw a meme where it was making fun of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and you know how you could pick up like prostitutes in it, and so the meme was like, the girl walks up to your car and says, "You looking for a good time, honey?" And they cut to like a famous wrestler who's like, he's like, "Hell yeah!" It says 11-year-old me, "Hell yeah!" It's so true, dude. Like when you're a kid, you're like making sure your parents aren't gonna walk in.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's like 4 a.m. Like, do I have enough? And you're looking at your in-game cash wallet. Like, do I have enough cash to do this? And it's like, well, if I unalive her at the end, I can get my money back. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Oh my God, can I even say that?
Yeah. And of course, when Grand Theft Auto 4 came out, it was so realistic. Like, oh my gosh.
Oh, and PS4 had the first person camera, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, that didn't look stupid at all.
Dude, same thing with the in-game strip clubs.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, what
6 of those about to be lit.
what kind of a weirdo on single player? I mean, like online's I guess a little worse, but like single player, I'm gonna go into this digital strip club, pay digital currency to get a digital dance. I'm like,
have you tried going to a real one?
I almost I know that's like a staple in the series, but I almost hope for 6 they just like cut it out because it's just so stupid.
There's no way.
They're not going to.
Like you said, it's a staple.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't know if they're in on the joke or not, but actually maybe not because like 5, they didn't censor anything. 4, it was like comedically censored.
Right. Yeah.
The nudity.
Mm-hmm.
5, they were like they took it seriously. They put some serious animation into the glistening of the bodies and stuff like that. So 6 is going to be like gonna have like God of War level mini games. Press circle, X, rotate the.
Oh, can we talk about those? Oh, that's awful too.
Well, while we're there, let's do it. We still got like 40 minutes.
Okay, so around the what I don't know, late 2000s, around 2009, 2010, I would say, maybe a little earlier than that. Games, especially in the PS3 era, had to have an edge to them. They just were. We don't want to be for children anymore.
Yeah,
it's like most of the headline games for like PS3 were like M-rated titles. Like Killzone or God of War,
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And all of them, in order to become more adult, had to have just like objectify women as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember the rating, it would just say M, and it would just say sexual content.
Or sexual content.
Unless you pulled up the God of War games, it'd be like nudity, sexual content. You're like, oh, and if you knew, you knew.
And then you hand the case to your mom, covering up the
yeah. No, there was no way. I want to see if when I was a kid, did I try to hide that from her? Because like I'm trying to decide if there's a core memory to be unlocked in that or not. But yeah, so would you want to talk about that with that specifically?
Well, just like why I just love that era of like games when they had to like everyone had to be super edgy and super rebellious. It was all about just less about collecting coins. Now it's all about freaking pissing off your parents. Like doing things you're not supposed to be doing. I just admire it. It's kind of like around when the movies came out around that time, it was kind of like the same thing where it's like all the PG-13 movies were coming out and they all had sex in them, but it was really just like kind of tame by today's standards. But it was still like, oh my gosh, you can't go to any movies anymore. You can't play any games anymore because it's all there. It's like, it's weird. It was just like it was so exploitative, but at the same time that what they were exploiting with just wasn't effective at all. So it's like just a really weird part to grow up in, I suppose.
Yeah. I remember when the third God of War came out, and the first 2 games had the mini game in it. You know which one I'm talking about. I don't have to. Yeah. So the third one came out, and actually, GameInformer asked them, "Hey, are you going to put the mini game?" We'll tie it back too.
Of course.
GameInformer asked the people, and they said, like, "Hey, like, are they going to add the game to it, the mini game to it?" And they said, "Well, it's just." I don't remember if they said yes or no. I think they gave like a political answer where it's like, well, you're darned if you do and you're darned if you don't. It's just one of those things where like, we could decide not to do it and we broke the cycle, but then there's like, if you do it, like how are we going to do it this time? Like we still want to improve on the first 2 games.
And like behind the scenes, that was the first thing they got.
Yeah. So, they structured the whole game around that scene.
The 10 poles. Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching, so I've been taking Maddie through the God of War franchise. And we just finished the 4th one with Atreus, which is great. So we get through the first 3 games. The third game, the playthrough we watched, they cut that whole scene where they cut out the whole scene where he even runs into Aphrodite, which is the mini game. And so when they cut after, I was like, oh, because I played her through the first 2 games.
Yeah.
I actually don't like the third game. So the third game we just watched a playthrough so we could get to the 4th one, which is one I really wanted to play.
Yeah.
And the 5th one, which we just started. So I'm watching the playthrough and they just cut that whole thing. I was like, oh, come on. I wanted to see them polygons.
Well, actually, God of War is a good example because again, it was the first 3 games were just so juvenile with its gratuitous violence and nudity scenes. And then the fourth one's just the opposite.
Yeah.
Completely data war, you know, like I'm grown up now, like
Yeah.
different play style, everything.
It's the same creators though. Like the head director is the same guy who directed the second game. So like, and I'd say the third game is the weakest out of the three. So it's like, I don't know if it's the same director or not. It doesn't feel like it. But yeah, I don't know what it was. He just decided this is new Kratos.
Right.
He doesn't do that. You know, like this is a whole new thing. In fact, the fourth one has almost like no gore. Like he's not fighting humans and chopping limbs off. He's fighting like creatures that bleed lava or they bleed cold. You know, they bleed snow. You know, and then you give it to Ragnarok, and then they finally put in like actual gore because that was a complaint with the fourth game. So let's see, I had another point to make with that, but in a couple minutes we'll have to reset the camera. But let me see. I had one more thing to talk about with that. I don't know, but anyway, so with the third one, Game Informer, they weren't afraid to ask the hard-hitting questions. Yeah. A main criticism, though, I had of Game Informer was if a game sucked, and this is when I realized you can't turn to mainstream media to get actual reviews. You kind of got to go to the small YouTubers. You kind of got to go to the internet essentially to get like, is this actually good or is it not good? You got to reach out to fellow gamers, to fellow consumers, and you get that with people like Angry Joe. Nowadays, it's Mudahar from Some Ordinary Gamer. Like you go to these people that you trust. Gamer from Mars. I don't know if he covers games that much.
He doesn't really, but yeah.
But if he were to cover one, you'd know he'd give a real honest opinion. And those are the people we go to now. So once you realize, like, hey, some of these games are getting a 10 out of 10 and they suck, you know, and it's like, why? Because like they're owned by GameStop, you know, and at the time when GameStop cared about their employees, they would go ahead and say, hey, give this game a good review. We're trying to sell copies of it. Right. And at the time they owned the market. Like GameStop was in its heyday, in its prime, it was a big scam. Oh, yeah. You know, you trade in quality top tier games and they'd give you a fraction of what it was actually worth. You know, if you bought a game $60 and you took it back the next day because you decided you hated it, they give you $30 in-store credit. Right. You know, which is a total scam. Like they wouldn't, their refund policy in like 2010 to 2013 was non-existent. Oh, yeah. And then it wasn't until major backlash, major pushback where they're like, okay, fine, we'll give you a refund policy. We'll do a refund policy, you know.
And nothing's changed since then. I mean, like Cyberpunk got 9 out of 10s when it first came out. It's like, what?
Not quite true. They have a refund policy now. And I think it wasn't really implemented till 2015, 2016 when No Man's Sky came out. When No Man's Sky came out, that was a game I had bought, physical copy, through GameStop, which was a rip, you know, again.
Full price?
I learned the hard way that it was a ripoff. Oh, yeah, No Man's Sky, definitely regret buying that full price. And that was one of the things, another tangent. When I bought No Man's Sky, you know, I tried to take it back the next day, and they were like, okay, here's $30 credit. And I was like, well, wait, I thought you had a refund policy now. I was like, well, it has to be unopened. Which, like it has to be the exact same condition as when you got it.
That is,
you know what I mean?
Insanity.
Yeah, because essentially, if you're a gamer, if you buy a game from GameStop, you're gonna open it. How else are you gonna know if you like it or not? Right. You know what I mean? So, you know, I took No Man's Sky home. I played it for like a week. So it wouldn't have I don't even think it would have qualified for the refund anyways. But I took it back and it was like, you know, here's $30 in-store credit. Brand new game. Yeah. The disc is unscratched. There's no dust on it. Like just, you know, and they don't care, you know. And I think that's a practice that's continued to hurt them.
But people just go to Target and Walmart now.
Yeah. Well, nowadays you don't even have to leave your house.
Yeah.
You know, you don't even have to leave your couch to download a game. That's what I do. I do digital. Right. We're learning though through how Game Informer has been handled that digital isn't as safe as we all thought.
Of course not.
We can get to that in a second. But so yeah, GameStop, terrible company. I don't know where was I going with that. But yeah, so No Man's Sky. You take a new game. When I was a kid, I had this big stack of PS2 games, stack, and then I'd take the ones I was never going to play again to the GameStop store, and you know, we're at $10 for all 60 of your games, like $10, you know, like, so, you know, but so Game Informer, when they were canceled, all their digital stuff, there are no backups to it. So if you wanted to access the archive, you can't because they scrub the whole website. Right. Like, it's gone.
Yeah, it's relying on people who already did that for them, which, some of them might be lost content and lost media forever.
Well, it's not just that. GameStop has no interest in backing them up. It's not like GameStop put out an ad and said, "Hey, if you have a physical copy, do you mind sending us a PDF scan or anything like?" They don't care.
Yeah.
They just scrubbed it, and they don't care. They have zero interest in backing it up. So it's up to the fans now to go to their garages, go to their mom's house, and find the box full of Game Informer and to upload it and scan it and, upload it to online to the archive. It's like a fan-made archive dedicated to preserving Game Informer.
Yeah.
Because GameStop just left them out to dry. And it's like you said, I think they're getting a severance package, but this came out of nowhere for them. It had no... They weren't warned. Like they had annual layoffs, from my understanding. Every year they had people that they fired. So I think in the back of their heads they knew it was a dying company.
Right.
But still, they were dedicated. So the original editor-in-chief was Andy McNamara. And every Game Informer in like 2012 and onward up until he left the company, I don't remember what year that was, but it started with a letter from him. In fact, here we go, editor note. So behind the new one is Matt Miller, which he left a mean statement for GameStop when he got fired, essentially. But before it was Matt Miller, it was Andy McNamara, and he'd have the note, and he left, I think, in 2020 to go work at EA.
Yeah.
So he was with the company for a while. Nobody knew. They probably came to work. Maybe not even. They probably found out on Twitter.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And then just like they got home or they get to their work and they're just like, all right, pack up your stuff. It's
Can you imagine going to your office where you work? You get there and there's a sign on the door that says, "Hey, we're closed for good. Everyone's fired." And like that's essentially through however Game Informer is set up. That's essentially what happened. And the goodbye note, like I said, people were using the Game Informer Twitter to say goodbye.
Right.
All the people that worked there, and GameStop was like, no. Then they deleted the Twitter, so everyone had to go to their own Twitter to post their goodbyes.
I was really hoping that another company was going to buy Game Informer. I don't know who, but someone,
Right. And that's the thing. I think that, what is it? I think they were, if GameStop couldn't make them work, I don't know who else could. They had to have been struggling as a company.
It's not impossible.
Forever.
I mean, there are magazines out there that do work. There are like this printed media out there, that journalism that does work. It's a hard market to get into. I don't think it's an impossible market. It's just when you have GameStop as your parent, it's not a whole lot more you can do. You can't go very high with it. I'm talking about someone who's a little bit more passionate about it, who's not just making a quick buck out of it, just like who wants to see Game Informer return to its glory days,
Right.
Because I'm telling you, like it used to be the thing. Like before, you could go on the internet and see a whole bunch of trailers for one game and probably know exactly what the story is going to be.
Or YouTube.
It's like 2 months before it comes out. No, like Game Informer was the only place you went to, and it had exclusive content that you would never see anywhere else, whether it be artwork or concept or interviews, with the creators. Like that's where you went. That's the only way you had.
And nowadays you got so many YouTubers, so many podcasters that get the same people that are in these exclusive interview magazines.
Yeah.
You can just get them on your show and they'll tell you about the game and they'll share the foot. You know what I mean? Like, and that's same thing with E3. E3 had the same issue where if you wanted to know what game trailer was coming out,
you had to watch E3.
You had to watch E3. You had to go to E3. And it was an event. Like if you wanted to meet the creator of Mortal Kombat 1, Ed Boon, if you wanted to meet the director, you had to go to E3.
Yeah.
And now it's the same thing. Like the E3's canceled. One of that part of that was COVID.
Sure.
But COVID, I think, only sped up the process of killing off dying companies. I think E3 was already struggling.
Yeah, because the reason I think E3 was out the window is because Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft all realized, hey, we can actually have our own shows and post our content whenever we want instead of paying a bunch of money to a middleman, a glorified middleman, and that's effectively what killed E3.
Yeah, I mean, E3 was like you said, glorified middleman. They were very high, reputable, respected event planners and organizers, but like you said, like why should we pay the extra when we can just do it ourselves? We can buy a bunch of blue tarps, we could buy a bunch of we could buy a big screen to display everything.
I bet you they're more successful that way too. What's also funny is when like an online game back before everything was free to play, when there was like an online game and they said, oh, when it goes free to play, that means it's about to die. Well, that's kind of what happened to E3 as well, because like a few years prior to that, it went public.
Right.
Like public access to everyone, when it used to be exclusive to journalists only, Game Informer included. So Yeah, it's just end of an era, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that there's a vintage crowd out there, a vintage dedicated crowd who would like still pay. I would pay. I'm still paying. it was cheap enough to I would think like justify it.
Yeah.
That subscription right there you're holding wasn't expensive at all.
Yeah. Do you know how much it was? You mind me asking?
It was only like $12.
That's
I think. Yeah.
For a month. For
for like a year.
Really?
Yeah, because it was a special. But yeah.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well. Yeah, that's too bad.
Mm-hmm.
But that pricing, I guess, is what was killing them.
Yeah.
So they just wanted to sell subscriptions the same way MoviePass did. If we just lower our price, like everyone will buy, and then we'll figure it out later. Unfortunately, they were owned by GameStop, and GameStop is not just shady, but they're relying on Hail Marys. Hail Mary after Hail Mary. They were bailed out in 2021 on the verge of bankruptcy, and we talked about that on the show. And Reddit went in and just meme coined it, and they saved the company. Everyone went in, they beat up Wall Street, and it was a whole thing.
GameInformer should be bought by MoviePass.
Yeah, but that'd be so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we should actually look up how much it costs to own the GameInformer name and buy it ourselves. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Third Wheel Podcast, GameInformer, or GameInformer's Third Wheel, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
Just having that name on there would be fantastic. I mean, what's stopping us now from just attaching it on there?
Right.
Lots of legal stuff, I bet. Lots of red tape.
Skeleton lawyers.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, skeleton lawyers. There's like 5 in an office. They're waiting. They have internet set up to where anytime somebody mentions them, it dings their inbox.
And they're just like, oh no, guys, the toilet just got shut off.
They're like, guys, these scummy podcasters just stole our name. Whoosh. Hey, Bob, the toilet's out again. I'll get you after I fix this toilet.
Speaking of which, I just installed a bidet at my house.
A what?
A bidet.
The heck's that?
You know what a bidet is?
No.
You know what a bidet is. It's the
You had a bad day. That's all I know. You got this. Tell me.
It's the tool that sprays water up your butt.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just didn't know what it was called. It's similar to the Phineas and Ferb episode where they were like, aglet. And like everyone's like, what's an aglet? Well, we got to spread awareness about it. And then they had to do like concerts. You know what an aglet is, right? Based on that episode. No. It's just that tip of a shoestring, that little plastic tip.
Interesting.
And then that's what you hold to tie your shoe.
I love how that needs a name. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, and and they did a whole episode on raising awareness. Nobody knew what the word was, but everybody has them, know? So it's like, so they do concerts, AGLET, don't forget. At the end of the episode, Doofenshmirtz erases everyone's memory. Wow. So they raised awareness perfectly, and then like everyone forgot. So anyway. Yeah. Okay, so how is it, I guess?
It's great. It's amazing.
I mean, do you have to adjust the pressure? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
It just goes. Psst. It's like room temperature.
Just one quick.
No, you keep it on there for a little bit. It's room temperature water. It feels really nice and cuts down on toilet paper costs. So it's pretty cool.
Cool. How much was it?
It was like $30.
That's not bad. Yeah. Maybe I should give that a try.
Oh, that's good.
You're not worried about where it's pulling the water from?
It's pulling water from the toilet.
Yeah. You're not worried about that?
Why would I be?
Do you flush first and then use it? Or is it pulling from a different source than what's already in the bowl?
No, well, it's pulling from the valve.
Okay.
So
it's not pulling from what's already in the bowl after you filled it?
No, that's not how it works.
Okay, cool.
It's pulling straight from the valve.
Okay, cool.
So before it hits the toilet bowl, it actually pulls from the source. So,
sick. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to tell you this, Caleb, but do you realize that most toilet water is recycled?
Oh, I'm well aware.
Yeah.
But it's clear enough to where I trust it.
It looks fine.
Yeah. It's like out of sight, out of mind type thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, do you ever reuse your towel when you use your shower? You shower, and you dry off, and then you hang your towel up, and when it dries, in your mind, your towel just resets itself. It's like it was never used, and you do it again. You're probably rubbing whatever was on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. My whole point is just
whatever was on your balls.
Whatever doesn't look bad, I guess, is fine.
Yeah. Now, if your towel turns a different color because you scrubbed your ear too hard and you got some stuff out of it, you probably don't want to use it again. But
no, that's not good stuff.
You just don't use that part. That part you just don't touch. You just use the other part that isn't stained.
Moral of the story, though.
Yeah.
Bidet's the way to go.
Bidet's the way to go. GameInformer. Is there an article that sticks out to you in remembrance of such a mighty company at one point? Was there anything that stuck out to you from back in the day?
besides like the Mass Effect stuff.
Mass Effect's a good example.
I think the ending of Mass Effect, probably Mass Effect 3, when that was super controversial.
Did they talk about that in the?
Pretty sure they did.
They probably did.
Yeah, I remember seeing something in paper like that.
But they defend it. I'm assuming they defended it because they were so. I mean, looking back, they were very much. Let's please the developers here. Let's please these companies.
Before people caught on,
yeah.
No, not really like a specific article. Again, the art was what stuck with me, and then like seeing the concept art and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't think so.
There was an issue that really sticks out to me. There was a, let's see, the cover was a bunch of your favorite characters from past video games throughout the whole history in like a game hell. And they're in lava on fire, like literally suffering in hell because they were forgotten. And so it was like the top game, and it was like famous games like Knights of the Old Republic. They put that you saw HK-47. He was in hell on fire, you know, and it was like the top, and it was a joke. It was
I've never
gag.
forgotten him.
Yeah, it was a gag where they were like, all these games need to be forgotten, and so they drew artwork of all of them in hell, and they went through like, this is why this game sucks, and it was like, and it was a joke, but it was like, KOTOR, like the morality system was so messed up, like, the choices were to kick bunnies, like, let's give us more interesting choices, BioWare. Quit making it so clear cut, like, kick this bunny or not. I choose not to. Light side points. So it was stuff like that. That was a good issue.
Oh, I remember one.
Yeah.
Do you know what Fable's like? Do you know Fable?
Yeah, I know. Okay. I'm only familiar with the third one.
So the creator of Fable, I think we talked about this briefly, but basically what he did was he very much is infamous for overpromising on his creations.
Oh no.
But like making them sound like they're going to change the world. So he's like, I made a game. It's called Fable. It's a fantasy RPG. Where the grass, every blade of grass in the game has its own life cycle. And you are literally experiencing life from birth all the way to your old age. And the choices you make will literally change the entire world and how it grows. It's basically like this whole virtual world, like, oh my gosh, it's growing inside your Xbox. It's crazy. And then like the article over, was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the biggest thing ever. And in reality, it was just like, poor man's Elder Scrolls kind of thing. Yeah. Like you could kick bunnies. Yeah. And then you would get hordes in your head that would classify as evil, but that was about as extensive as it could get.
Though, Fable, I remember the third one. Angry Joe did a video where it's like top 10 reasons why Fable 3 sucks, and the list was so long. He got to 10. He was like, I got 10 more things to complain about. And so then at the end he gets like 32 reasons why Fable 3 sucks. And he's like, it's not the core issue of his problem with it wasn't very innovative, and it pretended to be. It's like you said. There was like if you didn't buy the yellow hat, it was Yule. I just don't remember what color Yule is, or maybe that's a fabric. I don't know. But he's like, if you don't buy the yellow hat, you can't play with someone else who did buy the yellow hat. So if you didn't buy the same microtransactions, you couldn't play with your friends as advertised. You know what I mean? So it's like that's not innovative. Like if I don't nowadays, microtransactions have caught on. They know like if they don't want, if they piss people off that way, then they're not going to play. So anyway. I know I talked about this on the show, but at the time we only had like 50 subs, and they didn't all tune in every week, But there's a game that I remember advertised in GameInformer called Human Element, and it was one of the guys who used to work on Call of Duty, I think, and I could be wrong. It was either Call of Duty or another major zombie game, but I want to say it was Call of Duty. So he left Infinity Ward, started his own company. And he was going to make this game called Human Element. And GameInformer gave him a spot, and he got like 3 pages dedicated to this game concept that he had. And he was talking about like, so here's the deal: you're gonna play, you're gonna pick your character, and there's a bunch of presets. You can pick a guy, and his secondary character is his daughter, like almost like Last of Us, or you can pick a girl and her son. Stuff like there were a bunch of different mix and match presets where essentially you pick somebody and then you pick their kid essentially, and you go around and you do. It's a zombie game, so like and you have to make choices. And he started listing out the choices that were going to be in there, and I was like, this sounds like a really good game, and I kept that game in my head for like 7 years, and I kept checking on it. I was like, where's it at? And of course, wasn't ready yet. Right. So when they finally dropped a trailer for Human Element, it was a crappy 4v4 of like I think it was still in the zombie world. But it was like in the trailer, the tone was nothing like what he was talking about in that original Game Informer article.
Wow.
And it was like, you know, they're riding 4-wheelers and they're like vroom, vroom. They look over in the distance. There's the other 4 players and like, and they're chasing each other. And there was no gameplay. It was just like that. This is like 7 years of me waiting. This is what they had: a trailer with no in-game footage, and it was totally different tone from what they talked about. And I was like, you know, what the heck happened? You know, like this guy promised a really good, heartfelt game that, like, even if it just sounded beautiful. It sounded like a really touching, choice-driven, the world adapts to the decisions you make type of game. And then that trailer drops, and it's nothing like what he talked about. And so I think it was another Game Informer article where they asked him, like, hey, like, this is nothing like you promised it 7 years ago. Like, what the heck happened? He's like, well, you know, over time, we tried to make the game, and we turned out it was harder than we thought. And talent started leaving the company. And then, of course, we ran out of money. So the only hope was to make a crappier. He didn't say this because, you know, they're the developers. They're trying to promote the game. So they're like, you know, but essentially what he's saying was we had to make cuts. We had to change direction. We wanted to release something that would hopefully make up for the money we're losing. What ended up actually happening was the company shut down is because he was a bad manager. He wasn't good with the money. He wasn't a good boss.
Yeah.
And the game wasn't making any progress, you know, and he wasn't decisive. The stuff you're hearing about now with Rocksteady, with BioWare, all that stuff, like he was just that type of boss. He just didn't know what to do. He didn't know what he was doing. So, you know, and I was like, Game Informer, you let me down. Like they got me hyped up for a game that was never going to come out.
That's unfortunate.
But I mean, it's not their fault. Like at the time, the guy's like, yeah. And, you know, if the guy who left Infinity Ward, like the major director, if he left the show, I'd be, you know, it's like, you know, why not take him at his word? Like he's a veteran of the industry. He's like, he played like Call of Duty at the time, and it still is like one of the biggest game companies IPs out there. Yeah. Like there's a reason they release one every year.
Well, even when it's garbage, like Modern Warfare 3, everyone hated the remake. It outsells everything every time.
Yes,
they've cracked it.
Yeah. Like there's a reason they can release one every single year. It improves nothing, and it still sells.
Do you know what Black Ops they're on right now? So again, it's kind of a separate company, but not really. It's Treyarch. But
yeah, Treyarch. Is it 4? Are we on Black Ops 4 now?
No.
It's more?
Yeah.
Oh. I thought 3 was like the last big one.
No.
Oh.
We're on 6.
Really?
This is the 6th one coming out.
Is it still Mason and Co? Mason and Friends?
Actually, kind of. So like,
are they robots now?
No. So the first one,
Mason.
the first 2 was like Alex and his son's story.
Yeah.
About to sneeze. Hold on.
Well, show's over, guys.
No. So the first 2 are about Alex and his son.
Yeah.
And the third one has nothing to do with anything else. Because it was like it took place in like the future, but like really didn't connect with the first 2 games that much. 4th game was just an arena shooter. Like it had no actual single player content. It was just like an arena shooter because I guess Overwatch was a big thing still. And then 5 wasn't labeled 5. It was Cold War. And that actually went back to the Alex Mason story, but they also brought in a new protagonist. And now 6 is a continuation of that.
So they said Cold War is unofficially Black Ops 5.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then they titled this one Black Ops 6.
Yeah. So
okay.
It's like,
okay. I knew Cold War existed. I just didn't know that they were not titling it Black Ops. So
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just
I forgot 4 was a thing. I always keep forgetting 4 was a thing.
Now remind me, I know you just said it. So it's called Black Ops 4 or is it called, what is it called?
Which one? Just 4 in general?
4, yeah.
4 is just called 4.
Okay. I didn't know 4 came out.
Yeah.
Now what's 4 about?
It's literally no single player. It's just an arena shooter with zombies, I guess. So
okay, that's why I didn't hear of it.
So like, yeah, it's a hero shooter. They freaking bring out It's the Future and they bring back Rezanov as like a clone / robot or something.
Oh my God.
And Alex Mason as well.
I love Reznov and I love Mason, but I love them in Black Ops 1.
Right.
And even a bit of Black Ops 2, which I didn't finish, but I still...
You never finished
no,
it?
But
2 is my favorite.
Okay, but I did appreciate the idea, you know?
Cold War is actually really good too, so I'm looking forward to 6. Because honestly, Black Ops is the only series of the Call of Duty franchise I actually take seriously. Like, I never played Ghosts. Modern Warfare, I thought the first two were really cool. I really only play the campaign, honestly. I
Yeah.
play the multiplayer.
I own Modern Warfare 3, but then that's when I realized they're all the same.
Yeah.
And then my friends convinced me to get Black Ops 2, and actually my friend bought it for me, so I couldn't. It's not. What am I gonna do? Complain?
Sure.
You know, like no. But and it's more the same.
No. Because like because it has two different like missions almost. Because like there's the future levels and then there's like the past levels, which are really cool. So, and then Black Ops 3 was really cool because it was like so far in the future that it was like very much like unrecognizable to the past two games. So
I want to. Oh, good.
there you go.
I wanted to rant because I have really good ideas, but when I say them, nobody likes them.
Okay,
but then,
let's go.
But then the company would do it,
and then everyone likes it.
and everyone likes it.
What's your great idea that was stolen?
So the first one, maybe I picked a dumb title, but I was like, Black Ops, like Modern Warfare. What about Future Warfare? You know what I mean? And maybe
everyone laughed.
Maybe nobody lauged. Everyone told me I was an idiot. I would have loved it. They just laughed, but they were like, no, that's the most. Back in the day, the word was fine to say, but they're like, that's the most thing I've ever heard. You're an idiot. Blah blah blah. I was like, whatever. And then of course, but Call of Duty had nowhere modern to go anymore because every year there's no, if it's modern, it's the same every time. So eventually they had to jump to the future. Everybody has jetpacks. Zombies have robot arms. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and of course, and everybody ate it up, and they're like, oh, this is so great. Like blah blah blah. And whatever. Bad idea. The Breaking Bad universe, Better Call Saul comes out, and then I don't know. Did you watch Better Call Saul? Okay. Do you finish it? Cool. I was like, Mike needs his own show. You know what I mean? And and Saul is, it's like Mike is the co-star essentially. It almost is a Mike show.
They're both the leads. Yeah.
Yeah. And but I was like, look, man, I'd love a show. I said this when season 1 came out. I said, I think Mike should get his own show when he was like a young cop. It would be if it was the same. If it's the same creators, it'd be fantastic. And everyone's like, "No, that's stupid. That's a dumb." And then as the seasons go on, it's a Mike show essentially. Like Saul's like they're co-stars. And everyone loves it and they're eating it up. And I was like, it's a Mike show. I'm sorry.
Everyone's like, no,
and then
stupid.
Yeah, and dumb idea when I suggest it. Side note, I'm convinced the creators of the Better Breaking Bad universe could just make any character, a show about any character, make it interesting.
I don't know anymore because
their new show on Apple.
First of all, what?
They have a new show on Apple TV coming out.
What is it?
It's going to have Rhea Seehorn in it. Kim. I don't know what it's called, but it's like a sci-fi show. But what you don't think that they're as good as...
Well, no. What I'm saying is that I think they should stop now. First of all, El Camino, no one liked it. I didn't like El Camino at all. What are you talking about?
Everyone liked El Camino.
That is not true.
It is true.
That was a garbage movie.
By the way, let's just say R.I.P. GameInformer. Okay, we're going off topic now.
Sure.
We're going off script.
Yeah.
We love you guys. I'm sorry that it ended this way. If you have physical copies, I implore you to go find the archives and contribute.
Dude, do you know what this means? The Half-Life 3 GameInformer will never, ever be a thing.
You're not so much concerned that Half-Life 3 will never be a thing, but that there's no GameInformer.
Listen, if you're an actual Valve cultist, you never say that. You never say it will never be a thing.
I promise you that if Half-Life 3 ever comes out, somebody else will cover it just as well, if not better, than what GameInformer would have done.
Sure.
I'm going to read this now and figure out what the heck is up with Dragon Age and what they're promising.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Can't wait to be disappointed.
Now tell me, we got 4 minutes left in this episode. Tell me about your big thing with Breaking Bad.
So, okay, El Camino, I watched it with my best friend, and he is the biggest Breaking Bad fan I know.
Did he like it?
No. We both did not like it at all.
Why?
You want me to go play-by-play with this?
Not play-by-play, but give me a summary.
First of all, it's a TV movie.
Yeah.
So, but like we saw it in a movie theater because we saw it at a special...
No, that's cool.
We saw it at a special
that's cool.
eatery. Yeah,
I've done that a few times.
And they made like special drinks for it.
Sure.
Special food. I got the El Camino. It was great. I'm like, holy crap, this is gonna be awesome. Like it's gonna be Jesse Pinkman. It's great. Spoilers for Breaking Bad going forward. So it opens up with him being, captured, right? And it goes throughout his age, or he like the year or so.
Different parts of the show.
But like mostly like the year, it was him enslaved by the rednecks. And first of all, Todd, they completely changed his character.
Really?
Because like in the show, the thing that made Todd so scary was the fact that he was very soft-spoken and polite, yet he was super sadistic.
Yeah.
And he worked for his super sadistic family.
And he was missing a conscience.
Yeah, exactly.
You
like
know,
no conscience.
there's a
like,
scene where he shoots the kid.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, well,
he doesn't even think about it.
I was just told, I was just doing what I was told. Like,
yeah.
He's like, I'm sorry you feel that way. Like legitimately no empathy,
remorse,
no sense of anything.
Yeah.
In the show, he acts like a torturer would. Like he acts like he treats Jesse like he's having fun with it. When in reality, like Todd never did that. Like when Todd ever tortured Jesse, he always almost made it sound like he was having like it was supposed to be a good thing. You know, like, oh, I'm just doing this because, you know, like I have to, you know, like you gotta do what you gotta do what my uncle says, you know. In the show, he's like, I forget exactly, it's been a while, but like I remember his demeanor was just really like weird. It was off-putting because it was very much like, so you gotta do what I say or else, Jesse, you know, you gotta get this done, you know, just like completely shift, right? So his character was a little weird. Also,
that's interesting. I will. That's an interesting point you bring up. I will say though, the lack of empathy when he killed his maid, and the where he's like he strangled her with his belt.
Well, he acted like he was just pure evil, right? And he is pure evil, but like Todd in the show didn't act like that. He just did things that were evil and acted like he wasn't.
Well, see, that's why I think the part where he strangled her with his belt in that scene. Well, they wrap her in the rug, and as they're getting ready to pick her up, he's like, "Oh, hold on!" And he just unwraps her, takes the belt off her, and puts it back on. He's like, "Okay, now let's go." That to me felt very consistent with how he performed in the show.
I have to watch that scene again. I just remember that was my first complaint: is that it just doesn't feel like him.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Now I have to rewatch Breaking Bad.
Sure. No, like,
you're probably right.
I remember, like, they're very distinct.
Yeah, but you don't remember the belt scene.
Not really, no.
Okay, because that was very.
I mean, now that you remember, you reminded me of the maybe, but like, again,
that was very Todd.
I feel like Todd would have been like, I don't know. I remember his facial expressions were different too. Like everything about him was just different.
Well, at the same time, he was really skinny when Breaking Bad came out.
I don't mean about the weight he gained.
I get that, but like he's not the same actor anymore either. So it could be how the actor chose to perform it, because
maybe
when he did Breaking Bad 10, 12 years ago, totally different. Like he wasn't even famous yet.
Sure.
And then he started getting more roles, and probably as he's matured as an actor, he's like, hey, I need to actually do this and this and that.
Sure.
I wouldn't blame the movie so much. We're gonna have to reset this if we're gonna continue this conversation. All right, we just carry it over into the next one. What do you think?
Yeah. Are we doing a second one?
Yeah. I mean, unless you got somewhere to be.
No.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Let's cut it off there. We'll come back next week with the finisher of the El Camino topic and debate. But then I'm also going to talk about. I got some other topics to talk about as well. So, guys, see y'all next time. Thanks for joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll see you next time.